In this video essay, I'll be discussing Ant Colony, a piece of fictional drama written by Michael DeForge. This piece is something that is completely up for interpretation, and that is something that I love about it. It allows a reader to determine what the tale is actually about. The reader can get as in-depth or as shallow as they want in their interpretation, as long as they understand something from the piece. They could also choose to understand nothing at all. That is why I chose this piece for this video essay. It allows me to think in depth, which makes the point of the story feel rewarding once you get there. In this video, I'll be making connections between the text, the society the text was created in, and my personal experiences with these things. Ant Colony immerses the reader in a world that is darkly existential, with unjust violence and corrupt police officers as it follows the attack of red ants on other ants. On the surface, it's a story of violence and corruption which destroys civilization. All of these things allude to the human race, but we'll touch up on that later. We as a race have many societal problems, and this is exactly what I think the piece is trying to represent. The problems and occurrences in the story are all situations that occur in the world due to unnecessary actions of violence and corruption, such as the ant cop admitting to corruption, followed by his boss being involved in corruption, which ultimately makes him commit suicide. When you start looking at these details, the bigger picture begins to unfold, and you realize that the story is just an outlet for DeForge's perception of the world's problems. When you begin to look at the details, it becomes apparent that the piece of drama isn't just about an ant colony and some other insects. You notice that the things in the story have a much deeper meaning to them, like the corrupt ants that we just discussed. The way he represents these ideas is brilliant because a casual reader could enjoy this as a very strange story about some insects, but a person wanting literature with depth in its meaning can find everything that they are looking for when reading the very same story. This train of thought can be used for most things, but the Adventure Time artist perfected it with art that can only be described as being incredibly far-fetched and interesting. So, when observing how the excerpt ends, you can interpret the violent act committed by the red ants as a regular plot occurrence, or you can get in depth with it and compare it to the differing groups and races engaging in violent disputes, which has a surprising, well-rooted home in the real world. This text connects to our society heavily as well. Our world and society as a whole has been in a constant war with itself and the individuals that belong to it. Even though this isn't always the case, it is well known that humans are the root cause of all violence and corruption that occurs in this world, and the story is just trying its best to represent that. In all occurrences that happen in the story, you can see a comparable situation to it in the real world. I can personally relate to what this excerpt offers in two ways. Being born in Brazil, I come from a nation that is heavily corrupt in every branch of its government. Corrupt to the point where it was highly involved in one of the biggest money laundering scandals that the New World has ever seen. Because of the corrupt nature of Brazil, I have seen many people suffer heavily because of the lack of leadership and support of its government. Brazil's economy also was affected immensely, which affected all of my family members that still reside in the country that is slowly coming back from the roadblock of corruption. Also, when I came to America as an extremely young kid, I grew up on the rough side of town, which allowed me to have a first-hand experience of gang and race-related violence. Due to my brother's older age, he got a much more personal experience of this while attending Hillsborough High School. He saw many gang and race-related brawls, which led to serious injuries most of the time. These two personal experiences are perfect ways which I can relate to what Ant Colony has to offer and represents. So, to reiterate all the main points discussed in the video, this excerpt from the Ant Colony has an extremely close relationship with the occurrences that happen in the real world. The story is created to mirror these occurrences in a lighter and more accepted way. By doing this, the author allows himself to give his stance on what goes on in our society, without the backlash or the graphic and explicit examples that would have to be used to prove the exact same point. This is exactly why graphic drama benefits the author so greatly. It allows him to let the reader see what he wants the reader to see, which makes the reader interpret the information in the way he wants him to interpret it. Therefore, Ant Colony is a piece of text that truly flourishes due to the fact that it is written as a graphic drama.